everybody, it's the Devious Diva, and I am listening to the Monster Hop. That is the theme for everything that is retro horror. Sorry, I have a lot of fun with that. I'm kind of goofy, but I actually do love to dance, and if I ever stood up and dance, you'd see I'm kind of like I'm actually a club person. I listen to rap, R&B, hip-hop kind of music, and I took ballet, tap, jazz, dance, so I'm all about that, but I'm kind of being more cheesy, which I love to do. I'm a huge dork and nerd. I'm not, all flirty, seductive. I'm more just goofy and anything to be silly and laugh. Anyway, I'm here to bring you my second retro horror edition. I did Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, which I had a video before it where I dressed up like Baby Jane. So the ghost-like makeup like a clown, and I was singing I've Written a Letter to Daddy, which is a performance she does in the film. It's kind of pivotal to the movie, and for anyone who watches it, that was one of my favorite films of all time. And I did that video last year during COVID lockdown. We did not have COVID, but it was a time where people were really promoting to stay home. If you didn't have to go to work that day and what have you, and holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, we were not traveling. So we were at home. We had a lot of time on our hands. And one of the things I always wanted to do was remake Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. So I did that video and sent it to Kevin Smith, who's super famous, super busy. Probably won't see it, but it's one of those things where I just had fun doing it, and I always said, after seeing the movie Tusk, which I'd love to talk about sometime, Kevin Smith, he's an intelligent man, and yes, he does a lot of comedy stoner films, but he's also done some romantic comedies, and he did Tusk, which was a horror film. When I first saw it, I said, this has Tim Burton written all over it, Johnny Depp's even in it, and come to find out it was Kevin Smith, and I was thoroughly impressed. Although I've always been a fan of his, and I really would love to work with him sometime. So I had fun doing the theatrics, and long story short, that's why I posted that video, because I was having fun during lockdown of COVID, playing Baby Jane and just singing and dancing around. So that was kind of, the prelude to my review on that. Anyhow, the movie I'm talking about stars Joan Crawford, also from Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, and the movie is called Strait-Jacket. After Whatever Happened to Baby Jane's success, which it did very well for a B movie, where they only had 2 weeks rehearsal and 2 weeks to actually shoot the movie, which is not a lot of time at all, no matter what budget you're on, she decided, you know what, there are roles for women in Hollywood now, and it's horror films. She knew that's where it's at. So she did 1964's Strait-Jacket. It's an hour and 33 minutes. I've only seen it on Amazon Prime and Vudu, and it is with pay. If I find it anywhere, even YouTube free, I will let you know. It was free somewhere because that's how I did view it. And if I find that out, I just like to let you guys know, because it always sucks to me to find out about a movie and get excited, and then I go online and I'm like, damn, I can't get it, or it's not on cable, it's not on a paid streaming site even. It is hard to find some of these, but this one is definitely worth a look, and I think Joan Crawford gives a great performance, although she didn't necessarily like doing it, and a lot of that's just because she's, in her late 50s, early 60s at that time, and didn't want to do horror and wield an axe and do that kind of silly stuff. She was so used to being the leading woman in a romantic movie or romantic comedy, or a chorus girl, dressed kind of with the headdress and flashy like a Vegas showgirl. She was so used to that glamour that it took time to be okay with not looking so beautiful and all of the guts and gore. But I'm glad she did it, because she's one of my favorites. She's one of those passive-aggressive, snake-like people at times, and yet I find her beautiful and charming and graceful all in one. She is also notably known as Mommy Dearest, but there's a lot of controversy whether or not her adoptive daughter, whether that's true or not, because some people do stuff for money, some people do it to retaliate, and sometimes there's truth to it, and it's hard to say where that lies with that one. Because I'd want to believe nobody would torture and abuse their children like that, but it does happen every day. You could be the nicest person and smile and say all the right things, and there could be a demon, hidden underneath that. So who knows? I know I'm kind of going and segueing off of that, but Joan Crawford was very well known for that scandalous book and movie where Faye Dunaway portrayed her as Mommy Dearest. And a lot of people know the line, "No more wire hangers," because Joan Crawford did not like that. She grew up poor in Texas with her mom and her brother, and they lived in a back of an apartment, a back apartment, and in the front was a laundromat, was the storefront. So she did not like filthy clothes, wire hangers. It just reminded her of her, trying years of poverty. There was incest in her family. It was a heartbreaking time for her, and she never wanted to go back to that. So she had certain tics, and one of them was wire hangers. Anyway, this movie is a good look. I always kind of give the overview and then I explain why you should see it, or my interpretation of what the whole movie is about. So I will go into that in just a second. It says, after a 20-year stay in an asylum for a double murder, a mother returns to her estranged daughter where suspicions arise about her behavior. So Joan plays a woman called Lucy Harbin, and her husband is a cheater, and she finds him in bed with the mistress and decapitates them using an axe, which is what is used throughout the movie. And any stills or covers that you see of the movie, she's got an axe and she's pissed. So she's put in an institution for this for 20 years, and her daughter Carol is sent to live with her brother Bill and wife on a farm. And it's now, they show the beginning and that she's going to be locked up 20 years later. She's out of the asylum. She's excited. She's going to go live with her brother Bill on the farm and reunite with her daughter Carol. She's super excited. Carol seems to be a lovely young woman. She's an artist. She's a sculptor. She's in love with a man named Michael, and she wants to marry him. He has a very well-to-do family. So she goes to live there, and she spends time with Carol, and they start joking around and bonding and going shopping and doing stuff that moms do. But it all starts to go wrong. People start to go missing. People start dying for different reasons. It's very shady. And everyone thinks that it has to be poor Lucy. Lucy's the one who just came out of the mental institution. She may not be right. Maybe she's regressing back to her ways. These murders that are happening are done with an axe, the very weapon she used to kill her late husband and his mistress. And no one really knows who the killer is. It is something where you question, is it Lucy? Is it the daughter? Is it her brother? Is it whoever that may be, whoever they interact with? Is it her soon-to-be son-in-law, Michael? This one I'm going to give away the ending, but that being said, it's because I think it's great. I think you should see it. It kind of reminds me of Happy Birthday to Me in this respect. The killer is Lucy's daughter, Carol. And she is going around framing Lucy. She puts on a black wig, she has a latex mask, and she looks just like Joan Crawford, just like Lucy. And she's framing her mother for a few reasons. Killing the father, now leaving her as, I don't want to say an orphan, but basically an orphan to go live on a farm. So she has a dead father. Her mother's going to leave her for 20 years in an asylum. There's a lot of resentment there for that. And the other part of it is it's hereditary. The movie insinuates that Lucy has passed this down to Carol. Carol has a lot of unstable ways. She has a lot of bad memories from the brutality of her father's death. She hears voices. She's just not right. And on top of it, she's upset because the man she wants to marry, Michael, has a very wealthy family, and that family does not like her. They see her as beneath them. I think most of it probably stature, just the fact that she isn't someone of wealth. They know the story. They know that the mother was from an asylum, so they figure this is not a stable family. They're not well-to-do, and that's just not good enough for our son. So she really wants to frame her mother, and she wants to kill Michael's parents as her mother. So this way her mother can go back to the asylum or jail. The parents are dead and can't oppose her marrying the son. And now Carol and Michael can be together. But they do find out that she's the killer, and she doesn't just get away with it. And now Lucy is now vindicated, because she should be exonerated. She didn't do it. Although 20 years ago it was a brutal murder with a motive, but still not right. She is not the problem, it is her daughter. So it's kind of like a sad revelation, kind of funny all in one, because it's a mask where it is Joan Crawford playing the part, but she's supposed to look just like her mother framing her. There's some great killing scenes. There's a lot of suspense. It was a fun movie. I really liked it. It is not as good as Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. It is not as good to me as Bette Davis in Hush Hush Sweet Charlotte, which is another classic, where Joan Crawford and Bette Davis were supposed to collaborate again. but Betty Davis screws her over, and for good measure. But that's a whole other story. And if you ever have any interest in old Hollywood, women in Hollywood, and the way things were, definitely check out Ryan Murphy's Feud. He's the same guy who did Nip Tuck, American Horror Story, and that's why he recruits Jessica Lange to portray Joan Crawford, and Susan Sarandon, who does have the eyes and the essence and look of Betty Davis. It was a great miniseries. There were 8 episodes. It explains these actresses and the pain that they were going through on set, off set, their similarities, their differences. It was a great show. And they were supposed to have a second season that was going to be about Prince Charles and Diana. They did not do it. I don't know if that's ever going to be done or if it's shelved, but really great series, really fun if you want to get to know the actors and how the process works, especially hating each other and some of the antics. But I digress. This is a great movie for retro horror. I think Strait-Jacket's a lot of fun. 1964, it's black and white, very classically filmed. Really good actress who's very melodramatic, but it's what you need for this type of performance. So I definitely think that is worth a look. I can't wait to bring you more retro horror. I certainly love talking about, Phantom of the Opera, Dracula, Frankenstein, Frankenstein's Bride, the original Blob with Steve McQueen. There are so many classics I want to get into, but after doing Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, I said I got to talk about Strait-Jacket, because Joan Crawford, she's a great actress. I understand why she was an A-lister, no different than when people talk about Angelina Jolie, Brad Pitt. She was infamous. She went from silent to talkies and made a huge career for herself, no matter what kind of a monster she may or may not have been in real life as a mother. But anyway, I hope you guys get to check it out. I hope you're enjoying my hidden gems in my videos. I had a lot of fun doing Halloween Kills. I can't wait to talk about Scream. I didn't actually get to finish that one, and last night I finished watching it. And I have some good thoughts on it, and I have some not so good thoughts. I'm a stickler. When the original Scream came out, I was about 13 years old. And I fell in love with that movie and the characters. I thought it was so much fun. And now that I'm 38 years old, looking back, I'm one of those old-fashioned souls that's like, I remember in my day, this is the way the movie was. I don't like that they did this. I don't find it an ode to the old one. I think it sucks and they're just repeating themselves. So I am a stickler, but I have some good things to say as well. And so I want to talk about that. And I was actually kind of sad that the character I always tease, which is Deputy Dewey, aka David Arquette, that he passes away in the film, but I will talk about that next week. But I just wanted to bring you this retro horror. I can't wait to bring you more hidden gems, more videos, more discussions. I love talking with all you guys. I hope you're having a great week and a great night. So I am the Devious Diva, and I will be talking to you soon. Bye-bye.